The dusty streets of a small town were filled with a quiet peace as the sun set. The narrow streets of the town became increasingly deserted as people retreated to their homes to recover from a long day. However, an event was about to occur that would spoil this peaceful evening. A group of bikers were making their way noisily toward the town square. The roar of their engines shook the air and shattered the silence of the neighborhood. The leader of the bikers was the most prominent in the crowd. Wearing a black leather jacket and riding a flashy motorcycle, he was a man of intimidating bearing. He and his companions laughed their way through the crowd, ignoring everything in their path. Just then, a small stray cat appeared at the corner of the square. Its light brown fur shimmered in the last rays of the sun. The cat was one of the peaceful symbols of the city. It fed on the food provided by the shopkeepers, played with the children, and was the darling of the neighborhood. That day, however, its fate took a different turn. The leader of the bikers stopped his motorcycle as soon as he saw the cat. A dangerous gleam appeared in his eyes. He turned to his friends and smiled wryly. "Look at that poor thing, let's have some fun," he said. Then he got off his bike and cornered the poor cat. The cat, trembling with fear, looked for a place to escape, but was trapped in the alley. At that moment, a black SUV stood quietly at the corner of the square. The person in it was watching the whole thing intently. It was famous actor and philanthropist Keanu Reeves. Reeves was on his way back from the set of a new movie he was shooting near the town. He thought he was stopping at the square for a simple break. But what he was about to experience would be much more than an ordinary evening break. When Keanu Reeves saw the bikers corner the cat, his eyes flashed with anger. He had an incredible sensitivity to animals. He had donated to many animal rescue organizations in the past and had even rescued a horse in distress on a movie set. Now he felt he had to do something to save this little cat. The door of the SUV slowly opened and Reeves stepped out. His sudden movement did not attract the attention of the bikers. They were still cornering the cat, kicking the poor animal and laughing derisively. Reeves walked quickly toward the bikers. The few who noticed him backed away in surprise before they realized who he was. "What are you doing here?" asked Keanu Reeves in a calm but authoritative tone. The bikers thought it was just a random person trying to stop them. In the next few minutes, however, they would see very clearly that this was not the case. They would see the determination in Keanu Reeves' eyes and the strength in his stance, and they would realize that this was no ordinary intervention. Thus began an extraordinary encounter in the middle of the square. As Keanu Reeves approached the bikers with quiet but effective steps, this story would become an unforgettable example of justice and courage. As Keanu Reeves made his way toward the bikers, the silence of the square gave way to tension. Still unaware of who he was, the bikers were surprised by the courage of this stranger trying to stop them. The group leader turned to Reeves with a wry smile. "What happened? Are you here to be a hero?" he asked, his tone condescending. Then, turning to his friends and laughing, he said, "Someone tell this guy he's lost." Keanu Reeves took another step forward, maintaining his composure. His eyes were locked directly on the leaders. "You will not touch this cat," he said. His voice was deep but firm, with a tone that sent shivers down your spine. The bikers were surprised by Reeves' attitude, but it was not enough to stop them. The leader approached Reeves with another contemptuous laugh. "Look, man, we're having fun here. If you've got a problem, go somewhere else," he said, raising his hand and trying to shove Reeves away. But just then something unexpected happened. Reeves caught the leader's arm in mid-air. With a single motion, he knocked the biker off balance and forced him to step back. While some in the crowd looked on in admiration at Reeves' bold move, a wave of anger spread through the bikers. Other members of the group moved to defend their leader. Reeves, however, stood his ground. He stood for a moment with his hands in his pockets, surveying them. "I don't want to take this any further," he said. "But if you continue to harm this innocent cat, there will be consequences." The bikers paused for a moment at Reeves' words. They sensed that he was no ordinary man. The determination in his eyes was like a silent threat. The group leader studied Reeves for a few seconds. Finally, one of them muttered softly, "I know this man. That's Keanu Reeves." The name echoed around the square. As the crowd turned to the biker leader to see what he would do, his face suddenly changed. His mocking expression gave way to surprise. "Keanu Reeves?" he said, his voice shaking. "The actor?" Taking advantage of the group's confusion, Reeves moved to free the cat from the corner in which it was trapped. He dropped to his knees and gently took the cat in his hands. The poor animal was shaking with fear, but Reeves' warm touch was enough to calm it. A small crowd gathered around the square to watch the scene in awe. Many had not expected a world-famous actor to intervene in such a situation. Reeves stood up, hugged the cat and addressed the motorists. Violence against animals is completely unacceptable, he said. If your idea of entertainment is based on the suffering of another creature, that's not entertainment. It is just helplessness. These words echoed through the plaza. The bikers realized they could no longer stand against Reeves. "Let's go," said the leader of the group, silently turning to his motorcycle and gesturing to the others. Reeves watched as the bikers rode away from the square, the cat still sitting quietly in his lap. The square was silent again, but this time it was filled with admiration and respect. Reeves' quiet heroism had left an unforgettable mark on the town. Just then, a child in the crowd let go of his mother's hand and ran toward Reeves. The little boy's eyes shone brightly. "Mr. Reeves, you really are a hero," he shouted. Reeves turned to the boy and smiled warmly. Keanu Reeves turned to the crowd in the square as he gently stroked the cat in his lap. The bikers were long gone, but what had happened had left a lasting impression. The applause that had begun with the little boy's words, "You really are a hero," soon filled the square. Reeves thanked him with a shy nod. Nearby, a woman stepped forward with a tote bag. The worry on her face quickly turned to joy when she saw the cat. "This is my cat," she said, her voice shaking. Reeves gently approached the woman and handed her the cat. "I think someone is waiting for you," he said to the cat with a slight smile. The woman hugged the cat and began to thank Reeves. "Mr. Reeves, I don't know how to thank you. I rescued this cat from the street and adopted him, but he disappeared a few days ago. I was afraid I would never see him again." The woman's eyes filled with tears, but her happiness was evident. Reeves responded to her heartfelt words with a slight nod. "Animals are our silent friends. We must be their voice," he said. These simple but powerful words touched the hearts of everyone in the square. At that moment, a man in the square stepped forward and approached Reeves. He was the town veterinarian and had been watching from the beginning. "Mr. Reeves, that cat is very lucky. It doesn't happen to everyone to meet someone like you," he said. "If you want, I can examine him for free. I'm sure he deserves some care after the stress he's been under today." Reeves gladly accepted the vet's kind offer. "I think this is a great idea to make sure our little friend is okay," he said to the woman. The woman left with the vet to take the cat in for a checkup. Reeves gave one last smile and nod to the crowd and prepared to leave the square. But just then, the little boy ran up to him again and held out a notebook. "Mr. Reeves, I need you to sign this for me," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. Reeves could not remain indifferent to the child's pure excitement, and gently took the notebook and signed it. "Heroes always live in the hearts of the people," he added. At that moment Reeves' chauffeur drove the black Cadillac into the square. As he opened the door, he turned to Reeves and said, "Mr. Reeves, you've done something truly impressive, again," he said. Reeves responded only with a modest smile. Before getting into the vehicle, he turned one last time to the crowd gathered in the plaza. "Let us always be kinder to animals, kinder to each other, kinder to nature, for this world is a place we all share," he said. Those words echoed around the plaza, and the crowd began to applaud again. As Reeves got into his car, he could still feel the warmth of the cat in his arms. This simple but meaningful act had not only saved the cat's life, but also touched the hearts of the people in the town. As the Cadillac drove away from the square, people were still murmuring his name and telling each other about his good deed. On that day, in an ordinary square in an ordinary town, a story of heroism took place and stayed in everyone's hearts forever.